Feeling drained by stress? It's time to reclaim your energy, balance, and joy as we share a conversation that will shift how you approach well-being inside and out. Hi, and welcome to the U World Order Showcase podcast, where we feature life, health, transformational coaches, and spiritual entrepreneurs stepping up to be the change they seek in the world. I'm your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist, on a mission to help coaches and entrepreneurs amplify their voice, monetize their mission, and get visible, leveraging podcast and a huge audience on the Gnostic TV network. Today, we are chatting with Crystal Robinson. Crystal is a board certified health and wellness coach, Chopra-certified total well-being coach, whole health holistic nutritional practitioner, integrative energy healer, and psychic medium. She's also the author of The Change Insights into Self-Empowerment, which is an anthology. And she is currently working on a new book. Actually, you said like four of them?
There's four in my head.
So welcome to the show, Crystal. It's really great to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me, Jill. I really appreciate your platform.
So I'm going to ask you the big question. Are you ready?
Throw it at me.
Okay. What's the most significant thing, in your opinion, as individuals we can do to make an impact on how the world is going?
Normally I would go on and on about how I help people. But just recently, I got a chance to be on a panel with a Holocaust survivor. And we are always making shifts. And this kind of shifted a little bit of my thinking, even though I think it was always in the back of my head. His message and why he puts forth his story is to choose love, to just be love, and to not be hate, to not be in, the judgmental space. And as a coach, that's really important to me, that I offer a space that's non-judgmental, that is open, non-biased, and just being able to love my clients no matter where they are. And I think that's super important if you're going to be working with others, no matter what your coaching philosophies are. Your clients are coming in with all these different, issues, problems, circumstances in their lives, and, not showing judgment, just choosing love. You are where you are because you're meant to be there and you're meant to work through this. And I think that's probably the most important thing. So I thank Benjamin Lesser for like reminding me of that.
It is, it is the thing, love. And I'm going to add kindness into that, because if you choose love, you're choosing kindness as well, where it's love in action. Kindness doesn't judge people. It doesn't say you have to think what I think or do what I do. It just allows space for others. What do
Yeah,
you
I
think about
agree.
that?
I agree. The kindness part is the love in action, right? How you treat people and how you go forth in what you do in your life. And that includes working with clients, working with your family, and just strangers passing by on the
Everybody.
street.
When you're randomly going through your feeds and all the different social medias, choose
Mm.
kindness. No matter how upset that
Oh
person
yeah.
is about whatever it is they're upset about, because there's always something that you can be that can wreck your day or trigger you, and just allow them to have their space. You don't have to be part of that space if you don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree.
So what inspired you to create your eight dimensions of wellness framework, and what is your eight dimensions of wellness framework?
So the framework started back when I first started my business a few years ago, when I was working through, my own health issues and figuring out how I was going to use everything I had learned to help others. And I had learned from, holistic nutritionists, I had learned from these different programs, and they all offered like different types of structure. And I needed to see what worked for me and how I wanted to portray that to other people. So when I created it, it was originally the eight dimensions. And then I kind of morphed it since then, and now it's like the 8 elements. So it's really the elements in your life that are super important that help your wellness, keep you happy, keep you
Mm.
fulfilled. Things like your emotional standpoint, your professional standpoint, your community, your health, your relationships. And that's not just romance, which is a whole nother element. Romance is different from relationships. So I have all of these different spaces, these 8 different spaces that I work with my clients on. And it's where we start. Literally in a free clarity call, we're going to go through these 8 elements that are in your life and see where you're at and really where you want to be and help you go from where you are to where you want to be.
You help them balance out the different areas because often you find that some people may be really killing it in one spot place in their life, but because they're really like focused on that, then these three other areas are really needing attention.
Yeah, I agree. And that was what it took for me for my full healing, which is why I have the 8 because I was doing all the nutrition stuff. I was working out. I was excelling in my career in a corporate environment. I was, being a working mom and doing all those things, but I wasn't looking at my emotional well-being. I wasn't looking at my spiritual well-being. There was certain things that I was leaving out, and it's why I was so off kilter and why my health was failing. So it wasn't until I started incorporating all of them and really, like you said, balancing them out. And a lot of times I'll work with people and there'll be something that they'll say, I don't really want to work on this yet, even though it's not really where I want to be. I want to work on this. And once you start working on one, it can help transfer throughout all of them. Things will come up. Clients come to me sometimes because they want to work on their health and their lifestyle and they want to get off of diabetes medication or get off of high blood pressure. And the first thing we look at is, okay, what are you doing in your life? And we'll go through those. And then the next week I see them and it's all about relationships. So things change in people's lives. And what's important to you at this moment is really what I help you with.
So do you help them in terms of like group coaching or is this one-on-one? How does all that look when you work with somebody?
I do both, but mostly one on one. I prefer the one on one experience because I find that most people make their transformations that way, where they're feeling safe. And a lot of people don't feel safe in a great group environment. I do offer workshops at a local wellness center, and that's a place where you can just come in and do like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and I also offer meditation classes where people can come in and do that, and there's, like, no pressure in that space, you can kind of go at your own pace. I also offer a group package that I put out a couple times a year, but it includes one-on-one and group. So you get to be in the group environment and benefit from listening to other stories, and then you can dive in one-on-one later on.
That makes sense. Often those groups are you just make so much progress in groups because somebody will ask a question that's just like life-changing for you, but you never even thought about how you never even considered that question, but it'll change the whole trajectory of your life.
Yeah.
Mm.
The best part I think about being in a group is actually listening to everybody else.
Yeah.
And some people, maybe they're not ready for that. Maybe they're not ready to take that in yet. So then I offer the one on one. Or maybe they've done the group and they just really know what they want to work on and they want to hone in.
Mm.
So definitely be open to both and try them. See what works for you.
I like that you're doing a combination, that you offer a combination option for people too, though, because I as a life coach, I am a trained life coach also. So I do understand the need for the one-on-one part where you're just like, because everybody's different and everybody's at a different point and they want to focus on different things to achieve like a longer term goal. But um, then when you take that information and you put it in a group setting where everybody's working on something different, then it's interesting to see how the pieces kind of fit together and how the universe tends to bring us what we need when we need it.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I created the Mission Me 2.0 program, and it's what the book that I'm writing now, it's about that program. And
Mhm.
it's an intensive 6-week program with a group, and we'll talk about a specific thing. Maybe that's about limiting beliefs or shadow works, and we talk about that and see if somebody wants to talk, and then we get into a conversation, and then we talk with somebody else, and it becomes like a group conversation, and then later in that week, I'll do the one-on-ones with the different participants and we can dive into what specifically they want to work on. Because some people have some traumatic experiences that they may not want to share with a group.
Oh, for sure. And but sometimes having the group input and then everybody experiences things, even the same thing, differently. So getting the opportunity to say, okay, so what did you take away from this experience, this joined?
Hey all, I'm Jill Hart. We all know that legal matters can be costly and stressful. Finding the right representation and dealing with high retainers and hourly bills adds up fast. But what if I told you there was a way to have legal insurance, just like your health or auto insurance? Well, Legal Shield has leveled that playing field. From just $29.95 a month, you get access to lawyers for personal legal matters, from traffic tickets to real estate issues or even trust matters. Help is just a tap away on your phone. Call or text 435-764-0875 and use the code JILLLEGAL or start your journey to legal protection today.
Experience. And it brings me to mind of the Everything All at Once, but I can never say that title,
Yeah,
but that
I know
movie
which
that
one you're talking about.
Jamie Lee Curtis. So because everything is always happening all at the same time and everybody's experiencing the same thing differently. And so to get the perspective of, so what did you take away from that? And how did that experience impact you is going to be different than your next client that you talk to. And I think it would be interesting to listen to what they took away and what questions that came up for them because of the conversation.
Mm.
It's really,
Yeah, it really is. I think that's really powerful in a group environment. Some people are afraid of jumping into that environment, but if you're really afraid of talking in that environment at first, you can just listen. And you're gonna gain so much. I
Mhm.
definitely noticed that in my workshops. People come in, they'll sign up for the workshops and they'll be really quiet, for most of the time. And then as people really start getting involved and everybody starts opening up, all of a sudden this person that's been super quiet the whole time, now they're talking a bunch. So it just sometimes it just takes a little time to open up, but it really you gain so much by listening to everybody's different perspectives on something.
And not having to have an opinion about it. You can just go. And,
Mm,
sometimes I look at it like a crystal with lots of facets to it. And sometimes it's just good to go and look at the different facets of the crystal. It's so beautiful.
mm.
But everybody sees it from a different angle. And
Yeah, everybody has a different vantage point
Mhm.
because it's based on their own experiences, right?
Right.
Everybody's experiences are completely different. We're all individual. So, when we talk about a specific topic, whether it be limiting beliefs or shadow or, purpose, everybody has like something different in their background or in their experience that drives them into that subject or maybe pulls them away from that subject.
Yeah. And it really kind of pushes them along the path of life that they're on. And it's not to say that you can't like find a different route that's like right off your path and wind up somewhere totally different.
Mm.
Those things happen and it sometimes it can be really exciting in life. Sometimes they're unexpected changes in your life that you're just like they hit you so hard so fast. You personally have gone through that experience with your excuse me, with your health issues. I'm sure that that wasn't like in your life plan.
No, it wasn't in my life plan to, have all the health issues I had, including, lupus and a brain tumor. Like those were never my plan, but they were part of what makes me me. I needed to go through those things to teach me the things I needed to learn. And I look at it that way. Like, a lot of people are like, "I'm so sorry you had to go through those things." And I really am not. I'm not sorry I had to go through those things because I wouldn't be here today doing this. I would still be grudging through the corporate world of engineering, which I was in for 34 years. So I wouldn't be helping other people. I wouldn't have found my purpose. I wouldn't have found my mediumship. I wouldn't have found spirituality. I would be constantly sick all the time. And it wasn't until I really opened up and those things that pushed me over the next fence and over the next fence to be curious, to look at things like a beginner, to really like just open up and realize I don't know everything. A lot of us kind of have brought up,
Mm.
and once we get out of school and we're doing the thing and we're successful, I think you know it all. And you really don't. There's so much out there, and we can just open up our brains and our spirits to what's available to us.
Yeah, and you've undergone quite a change. Eh, To me, engineers tend to fit into this nice tidy box, and
Mm,
they're very um they can be very creative, but they're generally like really structure oriented. Like I said, that's my experience with people that I've known in my life, and I've known quite a few engineers in my life. They don't really like to wander outside the parameters too much. But you're in a profession now where it's just like there are no borders, there are no lines. Let's just look at the whole picture, see what comes up.
yeah, for me, that was, the engineering part of it was I was kind of pushed into that box. It
Mhm.
wasn't innately who I was.
Mhm.
I was good in science. I was good in math. I just kind of, this is where you're going to make money. I wanted to be a cosmetologist. I wanted to go do people's hair and makeup. Like I wanted to do
Shit,
different
that went
things.
over well.
But my parents were like, "No, you're not doing that. This is what you're doing." And you go into it, and if you're good at it and it becomes easy to you and you make money, you just kind of go along that path. Um, and I think that's a lot of what happened to me, right? I was living my life for what other people expected of me,
Mhm.
which pushed everything down, caused even more stress because I wasn't being authentic to myself. And all of these things had to come out so that I would be authentic, so that I could find my true purpose. Because what I was doing was just going through the motions. It was just, making the money so that I could have the house, have the car, make my parents happy, those things. And did I make some amazing designs? Did I, have a big impact in what I did? Yes, I did it for a very long time. I was a vice president of engineering for 17 years. I helped a company grow from a very small company to a multi-million dollar, all over the world international company. But I still didn't feel the purpose there. I didn't feel like it was where I belonged. So the engineer part, yeah, I loved the science and I loved figuring out how things worked. And that went back to my childhood of helping my dad build go-karts and things like that because I was just curious. But then, suppressing the mediumship in me and then finally allowing that out. So now I'm both. I'm the engineer and I'm the medium. So I bridge the science and the woo.
I love that. And the more people that we can find that are bridging the science and the woo, because to me, woo is just science that's not been explained yet.
Exactly.
There's just existence. There aren't, we put labels on different parts of it, but it's really just one big thing, consciousness, and it's all interconnected. And some things we understand the mechanics of it, or we think we do. Even we're finding out even that's not necessarily true all the
It
time.
is.
So it's kind of exciting. So, and I think that as you're helping people be able to balance their lives and to focus on the parts that help them find that spark inside of them to allow them to fulfill their purpose, I think is
Mm,
a beautiful thing.
thank you. I was pushed into this, really. It was just like, this is the door you're supposed to go through. Get your butt through it. And every time I resisted, something else would happen to kind of push me closer to it until I finally gave in, and then everything just opened up. and it was just beautiful. And I was just, this is really who I'm meant to be. I was just happier, healthier, more fulfilled in what I was doing because I felt like I was making a difference in the world. And that's the only thing that's important, my impact, my legacy, and my time here on this planet in this human experience.
Yeah, it really is. The only thing that matters is what we're here to do and doing that well.
Hmm.
Because we're all here to do something to further humanity. Because we're all
Yeah, I think
connected.
so many people just want to get on the hamster wheel and keep running, right? And where are you
It's
running
so
to?
boring. Exactly. So I know that you offer the 8 elements of wellness guide, your path to balance and fulfillment. You want to talk about that a little bit and how
So
people
there's
can
a
find it?
free guide that I offer. If you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get it in your email that explains all 8 elements and gives you 2 exercises to put into your daily life that works along those lines of each element. And it's just a start. It's a way for you to get started on looking at the different parts of your life and what lights you up and what doesn't about each element so that you can start to adjust and balance and figure out really what's important to you.
Perfect. And people can find that at crystalmoonholistichealing.com.
Correct. That's my website, Crystal Moon Holistic Healing.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Crystal. And to learn more about Crystal and to get access to her guide, The 8 Elements of Wellness, Your Path to Balance and Fulfillment, please visit crystalmoonholistichealing.com. And we'll be sure to put that link in the notes. And thank you for tuning in with us today. If you have a podcast or are interested in starting one to get your message in front of our huge and active audience, be sure to reach out to us at jill@gnostictv.com. We love to help spiritual entrepreneurs and coaches amplify their voice and monetize their mission and offer a variety of ways to do this on the Gnostic TV Network platform. Join us for our next episode as we share what others are doing to raise the global frequency. And remember, change begins with you. You have all the power to change the world. Start today and get visible.